What's up, you guys? It's your boy Cthulhu. Coming back with an updated Traptrix deck profile. You guys have been asking for in the comments of some of the most recent videos. This deck list I happened to take to the Philly Regional back on January 27th, my first regional. Which to start off the video, I do want to give a big thanks to you guys. Number one, we hit 100 subscribers. And also, I just want to give a big thanks to everyone commenting down in the videos, whether it's constructive criticism on mistakes I've made in gameplays, things I could have done, or even possible things I can do to the deck to make it better. I trust me, I read the comments, I take them into consideration. I know I'm pretty nonchalant about like replies and responses, but I do look at them and take them serious. So I do really want to thank you guys for that because I'll be honest with you, I went to this Philly regional with no expectations. I expected to go X3, X4 right away. I'll be honest with you, I was on the bubble all the way until last round 10, and then I officially went X4 at round 10. We got knocked out, but so I think honestly with this deck profile, this is a pretty strong one. I think with a better pilot than myself, it could go a little far. Obviously, it's going to be dependent on matchups. But with such a wide format right now, I think, it's got a decent shot at topping. So with let's just get on with the show and I'll show you guys the deck. All right. So we're starting off with a 42 card main deck. I struggled with keeping it at 42. I wanted to get down to 40, which you can cut cards down to get this to 40, but there were just some matchups I was worried about where if I didn't have certain cards in them, it might be a little harder. Like I was worried about like fusion matchups like Branded and things like that because with Floodgate Trap Hole, it is a nothing burger. You're gonna flip them face down and they're just gonna fusion summon anyway. So there were certain hole cards I kept in because I didn't want to put them in the side deck per se. But it still ended up working out. Honestly, I really didn't brick any hands. I might have just gotten lucky, to be honest with you, through all 10 rounds. I only had like one, maybe two hands I can remember where it just wasn't like an optimized hand, but it was still definitely playable. So we'll start with the meat and potatoes of the deck. Just your standard Traptrix lineup. We got 3 Mantis, search for any Traptrix monster in your main deck. We have 3 Myrmelia. We're going to search for a normal hole with this, whether that be Holtea or something to search for Holtea to fodder to get that whole line started. We have 3 Pudiga for the field spell. Field spell in this version of the deck is important. You'll see how many I run 1. Probably could run 2 because of the combo I use in this, but we kept it at 1 just to keep it simple for now. Then we're running 2 Dianea, and then only 1 Arachnacampa. I've been running 2 Arachnacampa at locals. Sometimes seeing both in the hand just sucks. So I've been finding going with only 1 has been pretty nice. For the non-Traptrix engine, I'm only running 2 Exceed. Tried testing with 3. There were too many times where like it ended up being a dead card, whether because I saw like 3 in hand or just something wacky. So I figured going 42 main with 2 Exceed helped hit the other one a little bit more instead of drawing both or running 40 with 3 and pulling too many. We run the 1 Agnemil Candle. This is like one of the extenders to get some synchro plays going. And then we have 3 Fenrir. It's just gross. It's great for going second because, running Traptrix, we have a hard time breaking the board a little bit, but this guy will help. And then in terms of like monster hand traps, standard 3 Ash Blossom, and then we run 3 D Shifter. This guy Honestly, ended a lot of turns. My first round was against Lab, going second both games. Opened D shifter twice, and it pretty much stopped him from going like full combo, for 2 turns. So it worked out pretty well. It won some games, so definitely main the 3 shifter while it's not banned. Very small spell lineup, 1 garden. Like I said, could possibly bump this to 2, especially with the whole Agnimal Candle line. Just found running it at 1 was just really good, but you can definitely run this at 2. And then we have 2 Pot of Prosperities. This card, I usually side out going second, believe it or not. It sounds weird, but I was siding this and Exceed out going second, just to, throw in more hand traps and more interruption, and it just seemed to be working really well that day. Again, could just be super lucky. For the trap lineup, we got the main 3 Holtea standard, mandatory. So, it's a starter, it gets your plays going as long as you have another normal trap, including itself, in the hand, like a second copy of it. And then for the trap hole lineup, we run 1 trap hole nightmare. We run 1 bottomless. We run 2 floodgate. And we run 2 gravediggers. Was very tempted to cut out the bottomless for the regional, but I decided with how a lot of things are running in the graveyard right now, if I can banish them off the field, even though it's destroy and banish, depending on what you're playing against. So I just decided to keep it in just to test it out. Floodgate was not bad depending on the matchup. But obviously MVP in terms of trap hole cards are going to be Gravedigger's Trap Hole. I'll be honest with you, could probably cut the bottomless for a 3rd Gravedigger's. This card is just disgusting, not once per turn. I was ending games with this, just burning for 2k, sometimes 4k in 1 turn, depending on if I had both set or this and a Rafflesia. MVP. And then we have 3 evenly matched. There, in case we go second, I won a round against a Fire King player where, I was going second twice, lost the dice roll. Opened up evenly in both games, and yeah, that pretty much just ended it. Just evenly them. They had to pick up cards, set my board, and it was hard for them to play through after that. Also going first, in case you're going first and you win the die roll, Holtea fodder. So it's not necessarily a dead card going first. It's not a dead card going second. And then for hand traps in terms of also just normal trap as well. Infinite Impermanence. Again, just great hand trap. Also Holtea fodder. In case you really need to get it going, you can just ditch this to activate Holtea to get your combo started. All right, and then on to the extra deck. So starting with the links, I was contemplating if I wanted to run 3, but I decided to only run 2 Sarah. There was only maybe 1 or 2 times where I was like, damn, I really wish I had that 3rd Sarah. But to be honest with you, as long as they aren't banished, you can just bring them back with the garden. So 2 was working out in this. This honestly might need to go to 3 if as Kashtira is rearing up more and more and more. Because, hitting this just sucks, whether it's be Unicorn or the Fenrir itself, them just hitting the Sarah and just banning them face down. This might need to come back to 3. And then we have Adipus for the other Traptrix link. I don't run the link 2. It has its uses, but I don't. I have the link 3, and I'll be honest with you, I rarely ever use her based on, because I usually just have Sarah and a bunch of XCs going at the same time, whether they be Traptrix monsters or just other useful XCs to have on the board. I haven't really needed this to push for game, but it's there just in case. And then 1 SP Little Knight. It's mandatory in every deck if you have one or can pick up one. Yeah, because the card's just busted and it's bannable, to be honest with you. And then for our XZs, running 2 Rafflesia. This is another card, depending if Cashier really picks up more and more, which it might with all the graveyard dependency and Unicorn coming back to 3. I would think about running this at 3 just because this really helps protect your Sarah. 1 ping. Haven't really found the use for 2 ping. Usually you get your 1 search off, and that's the search that you need to keep extending through plays. Its secondary effect is pretty good. But to be honest with you, with the other monsters we make in the extra deck, the extra deck getting a little tight, I find just running it at 1 works. Then we run 1 Alomaris. Definitely would not think about running this at 2. It's mainly there for the Agnimble Candle combo if I have targets in the graveyard to do it with. Just to have a rank 4 that I can waste to use, whether to bring something back, to do something to the opponent, or just to get more bodies on the board to eventually make Draco, and then have whatever else on the board to go further with. Then we have 1 copy of Infernal Banshee. Banshee's primarily just there as, or it is the only way in the deck, I should say, to search for the candle. Was thinking about running Bonfire. Only problem is Bonfire is like $100 card, or I think it's like $95 as I'm making this video. So I am not spending $95 on 3 copies of Bonfire for 1 tuner in the deck. So we just make Banshee, search for the candle, special summon the candle, and go from there. Time Thief, because Time Thief sometimes can just end games. If your opponent has like no hand and nothing left on board, steal whatever card, they after the draw phase and standby phase, grab their top deck, and hopefully that's the card they're looking for. This guy is kind of oppressive for like the grind game. And then we run the Draco package, so Utopic and Draco. So a lot of times we'll use Banshee, and depending on what's going on in the game state, we'll use Banshee and Alomaris or Banshee and Ping to make Utopic Future, and then Draco Future. One Zeus, because it's Zeus. Sometimes a Zeus is all you need. You just attack into something with 1 of your XZs, wipe the board. Typhon. I cut out Baguska for Typhon. I just found myself not using Baguska too much, even though I probably should utilize him more. I just figured with the regional, Typhon might just be better. He came up a couple times. Wasn't super impactful, but was a little helpful. But I used him more than Baguska, so he went in. And then last card, Barone, because we have a tuner now. So now we make Barone. You just gotta get Agnimble Candle to level 6, and then use 1 of your level 4 Traptrix monsters. You make this guy. Alright, and then for the side deck. The side deck is the thing that like really racked my brain the most, especially with being such a wide format. So I decided to go for a couple cards that'd be useful, like for if I know I'm going first. And then I decided to get a little more generic with it, just because it's such a wide format. It's hard to predict what you're gonna play against, besides like predicting Labyrinth or the Kashtira, Fire Kings, things like that. But otherwise, like there's a lot of rogue you see. So in terms of going first, running 2 anti-spell. 3 just seems to be too much. I feel like 2 is the sweet spot. Every time I run 3, I just feel like I get too many in hand. Having 2 in hand isn't terrible, but it's also not Holtea fodder, so it hurts a little bit. So I just find 2 to be a sweet spot. especially with side deck room. 1 D barrier. Only running 1 copy of D barrier because we are running a small thrust package. So we're running 1 thrust, 1 talent, 1 lightning storm, 1 Raigeki, and 1 harpies. I know right now destroying monsters is not too good in the format. My whole idea was, even if I can Raigeki, let's say a Fire King board, if I can do that as like the first thing I do, just to bait out all their effects to where now they have nothing to really do after that, I figured that wasn't too bad. Obviously, Lightning Storm and Harpies for the back row hate. I mean, Lightning Storm you could also use for monsters, but it's mostly there for the back row hate for like the lab matchup. Let's see. And then, speaking of lab, just 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. Again, just more back row hate, just expecting to see a lot of lab. I only ended up playing against it once, but it's there just in case. You can also use it also on the field spells that you'll see a lot in the format now. There seems to be field spells everywhere, including the Fire King. They try to search with the field spell, chain Cosmic, pop it, it doesn't resolve. Going second, Pankratops. Considered this running this at 2. Don't have it at 2, so we ran it at 1. Honestly, running 3 Fenrir and 1 Pankratops anyway isn't too bad, because you just summon out the Fenrir, and then depending on how many monsters on the board, you bring out 1 Pankratops. Seems to do the job anyway. The only other hand traps I have in the side deck is just, and I'll be honest with you, there was no matchup I had where I ended up using it anyway, but they were there just in case. For Vanadium or anything like that, 3 Droll. And then last card, it's only specifically for time. Didn't use it once on that event. There was one time I could have possibly used it. Played against Runic for Hire, ended up drawing. We had 20 minutes going into game 3, so I decided not to side this in. Worst mistake. I should have sided him in because that game 3 ended up going the whole 20 minutes and going to time, and we tied. So if I had made him and burned, there was the possibility of winning the game just off of Cowboy for possibly 1 to 2 turns. So that's my deck list for the past regional I played and my most updated one. Again, I think there's probably some improvements that can be made in the deck, and I think with a better pilot, it's definitely topping material. If you guys have any comments, questions, or anything, leave them down in the comment section below. I enjoy bringing this updated list to you guys, and again, thank you so much for the getting me to 100 subs and helping me become a better player through your guys' wisdom and comments and everything down below. You guys have a good one.